of citation or quotation, a way to make sure that we're talking about the same thing, and you see cinema appear here, and you see the highlight. And if you go to a player, let's look at one thing that I really like. A film I think is fabulous, which is called The Paradise Street. So let's assume you don't want to be in a database where you search for stuff or things and you just want to watch the film and you make it larger and you just play it, but still you wonder about the street, you wonder about the road, you want to see something was happening with the road in this film. So you type road, there are 19 hits, there are 19 results, and you can just skip to them, like you would skip to a text if you wanted the madness of a road. If you want to play, you play. Then you can get to the next, and the next, and the next. And it doesn't have to be a road, it can be something that's less trivial. And it has sound of this, but it doesn't matter so much. So, and you see where you are in the film, you actually see you at the beginning. So this would be search. My sound is silence. Yeah, if you think sound, we don't want to do
Wie war es jetzt mit der Lebendigkeit? Noch schneller,
So that would be searching for stuff, and if this is the film that you like, you can just see all these clips. You usually see them, like, this is how you usually would see a film. No, this is a weird film because it starts with the end of part 2, but this is like chronological order. Let's take road out of it. Yeah. This is the complete film from start to finish. These are all the clips that you can search. This is every time someone says something. But that's chronological, that's how we do films, no? It's a film that has a lot of color, so why don't we sort this by hue? So you get the black and white stuff first, and then the red hues together, or you sort it by maybe even more interesting by saturation. They say, okay, show me the red stuff, I'm looking for the red stuff. And this is not magic or something, we're not magicians, it doesn't cost, it costs less than 100 euros a month to run this thing. There's no big funding behind it or some institution or anything. This is something we just thought was worth investing some of our time into because it's trivial. This is digital data. If someone tells you can't sort your things by hue or saturation or by how long this stuff are, and it's just the most obvious things that you would do with film if it's digital. What you would do with cinema if it's digital. Now, I mean, there's so many things and I don't want to get too long, so let's just skip to the next. One of the things we realized is that this is all time-based annotation. These are all like these subtitles is basically this is it's not this. So there's a full list of 4 million clips that we have. All these are always good. Why is that so strange? There's just information that is attached to a particular moment of a film. So if you want to add something, you can just set an in point here, you can set an out point here, and you add something. You add annotation. You can also do that. I can make notes. You can say, watch this again, and then you can, something here is wrong, or this is an interesting panorama. You set an in point and an out point. This is in, this is out, and then you just write some text here. In this case, I delete me. That's what we usually write. But you can, and if you make an account on the website, you can also start writing here, start adding information in particular. So what we realized is a lot of this information, apart from the fact that you can suddenly search for all these things, has meaning. Wouldn't it be great, for example, has anyone seen the film Los Angeles Plays Itself? Yeah, you have. Now Los Angeles Plays Itself. It's a film that chronicles that kind of. It's a film that looks at how Los Angeles is portrayed in the movies, in Hollywood movies, and by doing that, it's also quite unique history of both Los Angeles, the city, and Hollywood, the system, if you will. There's so many places in Hollywood, and so many. It's the story of Hollywood. Why, if this is internet, like why can't we just do this? Why can't we just do this? What is this? This is a map, you've seen it, this is what you have on your phone and stuff. Why can't cinema have this? Then this is trivial, it's not even so much work. This is just one film, no, this is Los Angeles Plays itself, and it's all the doesn't load for some reason. No, here we are. It's all the, like Hollywood is probably the most generic thing, so these are all 8 clips where Hollywood actually is featured in where Hollywood appears in. But you can browse the film Los Angeles Plays itself now on a map of Los Angeles. The Bradbury building that gets destroyed in science fiction films. Takes a while to. It's just a computer that's in, it's a web server that's somewhere, and it takes a while for it to come. But you can see the clips where the Bradbury building is mentioned, or the LA Coliseum. But sometimes it's really nice to. I'll show you another example that maybe more of you are familiar with. Let's search for something that in the title has the wire. Or maybe that's just this, which is even better. This is a map of everything. This is a map of the entire archive. It looks not very densely populated at first. It looks like there's just a big stuff, like countries or oceans. But if you zoom in, I think Baltimore must be around here. If you zoom into Baltimore, let's say Baltimore is here, which is where the wire is set. You see all these dots, and you can zoom into street level. So if you never really had a good sense of what this east side, west side business was, and trust me, at some point, the clips will appear here. You can click on them, and they will not play today, but in general, they play. These are video plays. So if you're into this east, if you want to see spatially what east side, west side actually means on the map of Baltimore, and and this is you can find big things like Athens on the map, and all references to Athens in these 15,000 films. But you can also find if you want, this can be as precise as a street corner. If we just does this work actually? Let's search for Paris. Let's go to Paris. So this is probably one of the capitals of cinema, and you can see that if you zoom into Paris, you get more and more and more of these kind of streets and quarters of Paris and buildings in Paris. Such as the Louvre that I told you was destroyed tonight, and there are 40. That's great. There's 53 clips where the Louvre is at least preserved in cinema. And you see you can sort this by director if you want to see. You can sort this by a lot of things. You can sort this by director. You can see what the directors are that featured the Louvre, from Matthias to Chabrol to blah blah, etc., etc. If you want to, let's just go back for a moment. If you want to, how do we do this? So here you can see some filters. So these are all the directors, these are the languages, the genres, the years in which these films were made. Let's find someone. Let's not always do it with Godard. Let's find Alfred Hitchcock here. That's him. So this, if you will, is a map of the cinema of Alfred Hitchcock. Someone who started to make films around here and then continued to make films around here. You can zoom in. This is Hitchcock's cinema. How does Hitchcock's map compare to the one of Chris Marker? Is that a more southern map or a more eastern map? In a way, this thing suggests it. And if you really want to know what Chris Marker, what in the work of Chris Marker's India or Tokyo, there would be a lot, or Istanbul, or the Aegean Sea, maybe you've forgotten about it, then you'll see this. And what are the films? So it's fantastic, you see what films these are. So I think this is another thing that gives you a different perspective. I don't know if it's a gimmick. I think it can be used as a gimmick and as a stupid on the internet. Everything has to be on a map. But in some cases, especially in some cases, it's really kind of, you see connections between things that you would otherwise not see in cinema just by spatial proximity or by distance. I mean, in a map of cinema, whatever you see stuff becomes. I mean, you've watched Shoah maybe, but you've never seen it doesn't change the story so much. But all these place names and where they were actually, a lot of these lots are from the work of Prudence Man. You see, I don't think it's a gimmick. I think in some cases or maybe someone has forgotten what was next to Poland. Someone has forgotten that. Sometimes it can really make sense to draw cinema on a map. There's one last thing I want to show you. I'm totally doing this wrong. The good thing is whenever you, I mean, it's a website, it has URLs, you can just load it again, all this kind. So let's show the sidebar again. So here on the side, I have a couple of lists. This is stuff that's in the public domain, and this is the situation is these are all the films mentioned in Amos Boger's films of subversive art. There are a couple of. And everyone who has if you make an account on the website, you can also make a personal list. These are some that are featured. We realize after a time, this is a bit like iTunes, no? You put some stuff in a list, that's my favorites, that's stuff for emails, and whatever. And you can also make saved searches, like you can search for specific keyword, like whatever, like the 1980s, and then you get 1980s films, or anything that's art house and has a high score, 90, whatever, this kind of stuff. And if you really want to get crazy, you can get all these kind of, you can use like this kind of advanced search type of thing that you may also know from music managers, etc. But at some point we thought like, it's so sad that this is just for film, this is just entire films. Wouldn't it be cool if you could take clips and drag them into a list? You take whatever you're interested in kissing in cinema, you're interested in plane crashes. Wouldn't it be better if you could collect all the plane crashes? It would be cool, and it's called edits. So in edits, this is basically you can do drag and drop, and you find something in the search, or you set it in Avtonomi, and you just put it in a list of clips. So these are now collections of this is also going to be a bit slow, but I hope it works. So this is. Wouldn't it be great? This is just now these folders, they don't contain movies anymore, but they contain clips. And we realized, okay, if you have a folder of clips, like the stuff you've seen before, this kind of clips, let's just go back. You see this as clips, let's search for something. So it's a folder with clips, bookmark clips, looks a bit like this, no? So you have, but again, it's a long list of clips and it's a bit unwieldy, 139,000 clips, what are you going to do with this? So the idea with edits is, a list of clips is basically a film. You can let's see if we find one where that works. So this is something. This is a trailer, I think, for a film program we've once done. This is a minute from Out One and a minute from Staggered to Death and a minute from whatever. So you can just mark up that minute, and if you're not happy with the order, you just change the order. No? It's a rudimentary video editor. And you see the timeline changes, it reassembles itself. Or if you think like, and this is sorting it manually, you can just edit the in point and the out point if you. It's a bit like an actual video editor. But if you're not happy with the order, why don't you sort it by saturation, or by lightness, or by volume, or by what year, or by how much profit the film made? What a great way of sorting it. Especially in these words. But that's all possible, and then as a next step we realize, okay, we have these smart lists, no? Why don't we have this as smart list? Why don't we have, if you think of The Wire, Why can't we do something like this? It would be like technically, because this is just internet, this is digital data, this is trivial stuff in the end. Why don't you do a super simple search that is title contains the wire, subtitles contains Omar. Done. It's nothing more than that. It will appear in a moment. And then we say, this is a bit wide here, then we say, okay, we want to sort this by title, so it's actually sorted chronologically. Sorting it by title means season 1, episode 1.
This kid will come over the trouble christening Omar, I say that's.
With slow internet, it will have a bit buffering. If you have a bit more internet, this will play seamlessly.
Omar, that's the name I heard.
What you get is basically, I'm not saying again, we're not proposing this is how you should watch The Wire, this is the future cinema, and you skip through stuff and just kind of, but isn't this, I think it's an okay proposition to say, okay, I just want to study Omar, that's the character that interests me, I want to see how it develops through the series, and this is how you're going to do this with 60 hours of film. This could be how you do it. You type this query, and you get this development from, okay, that's Omar. Where's Omar? At the beginning it's just who is Omar, where is Omar, that's the name I heard, blah blah, and then 2 minutes later, Omar, and then the character will actually appear on the screen. This is now sorted chronologically in the series. If you wanted to sort it by very bright scenes first to very, very dark scenes, you could do that as well. It's 7 minutes of film. Last one, again, this could get very gimmicky and it takes some time to come up with things that actually produce interesting results. And unlike certain artworks that work by finding a lot of precise things in a huge amount of movies, this is reproducible. Like everyone can do this. It's not that you have to hire a huge team of specialists and then the results are going to be just usable for yourself. This is a bit broken, so let's reload this. So this is a list. This is a list of clips. That's just a query. That's a smart list or whatever. I think smart is a bad word for this. We should rename this. It's not necessarily smart, but this is a kind of a. This list is all the clips where someone says get in the car, get out the car, or some variations of this. And it gives you fantastic panorama. And if you want, I usually sort it by year, so it starts with old cars and ends with new cars. This is a fantastic panorama of robberies and of this thing is broken, but we can also full screen it. Let's start in the sorted by year. Yeah, it's sorted by year. So and okay, sorry, the internet is limited and we also don't want to use up all the bandwidth we have for tonight, but once this plays, we have a fantastic panorama of robberies and conflicts between gangsters all situated around the town. But what you get with this as well is all these scenes in these 15,000 films where you have these guys, the guy, the girl in the car, these men whose wife or mistress or whatever has to urgently get in the car or out of the car, or these conflicts when you can just play from start to finish with a bit more internet, and it's and this is sort of reversed, like I think it's sort of to new, so at the moment in 2012 and Madden. It gives you fantastic panorama of a specific situation in film, the get in the car or get out the car situation, that otherwise it's also the title of the film, but the man is a career. It's a specific situation in cinema that's really hard to assemble if you
get in the car.
No, I'm talking.
This is endless, and like 22 minutes, but still, it's endless instances of this. Get in the car, no one talking to you. My favorite one is get in the car so I can talk to you. Get out the car so I can. Like these people can't even talk without it. It's beautiful, and it shows you a thing that's hard to find if you don't have good tools. So that's. I mean, there's a lot more, but I think that's in terms of opening up a couple of prejudices about what cinema online has to be, I think we can also leave it here. And I hand over to Jan, and after that, of course, we're going to take questions, who's going to show you a bit of what you can do if that's not your project. But if your project is to make a software platform that does this and make it available to others.
So, yes. Sebastian already showed you OXCV, which is one of the sites using the software that we wrote to make websites like that. It's called Pandora, and it's open source software, so you can download it, you can run it on your own site. But by now, we also have worked with many other groups and people to set up archives that have different scopes than OXCV. OXCV is mostly about films, but right from the beginning when we developed the software, there was one other project where we also developed. We were already running when we developed this common software to run this project, which is Avtonomi, which is an archive that is more focused on footage. So it's not the idea that it's not only you don't have films, but there's a lot of material that is used to make documentary films, but also fiction films that is in the end not part of the film, and the film format restricts you to 90 minutes or 120 minutes or some other arbitrary thing, but maybe you have a long form interview that you want to publish or that exists already. So this project was also about making available large quantities of things, material that are there, that sit in some shelf in the form of a DVD or in the form of on a computer, the scraps that are on the floor, so to say. But at the same time, you end up with long passages of material that you maybe don't want to watch like that. So the idea of these time-based annotations was used to make this material accessible in a way that you don't necessarily look through it from the beginning to the end, but there might be a 5-hour-long clip where you can directly jump to certain points that are interesting to you or that are made available. But for example, I mean, by now this project is also 7 years old, 8 years old.
Launched in Bombay in 2008.
2008. So it's mostly material from India, but there are also things from around the world. One thing that we did there's a lot of films from Afghanistan that were I have it open so I talk about this maybe for a moment. These were materials that are in the National Film Archive in Afghanistan, and they had some non-working digitization tools that were broken. And so, in a 2-week workshop, people went there from India, fixed the digitization tool, and then digitized all the films that could get their hands on. Sat with the people that were part of making these films initially, so the people were invited to see them there for the first time after many years. And so as they were watching them for the first time, they were giving a commentary of how this film was made or how they background stories. So you have many unrelated things around this thing, and they were recorded and then put into annotations on the site. So now you can, besides having this film and the subtitles, you also have this commentary of of the person handling the camera, or sometimes about this film shoot or how they did it. This then was, again, and then there were public screenings of this as well. So in some ways, the tool here, the platform was used to, in a way, make this material available and open it up, and then have it also available as a resource online, but also helped to go through this material in the Afghan Film Archive when they were looking at this material. So it was also allowed us to do this very fast. But yeah, so this is a more of this kind of footage material, and at the same time we also then went back to thinking about more film-related things. So there's another project in India that is called Indian Cinema, which is a collection of, is an archive that consists of 36,000 films. It is a lot bigger than OXDB, but so this is all Indian films ever made. The interesting thing there is that, or one of the aspects there is that of these films, most of them will never be seen again, they are gone. There is no copy available. As far as we know, they have been destroyed, they only exist as a, some of them were never made, they only existed also as an imaginary film. They were made for tax evasion purposes or other reasons. So there's only a poster and a story and some things. But many of them also exist, so this is but we wanted to start with all films, so we have many of these films, all these films that don't have any icons, so we still have, there's information about this film, so this is also, it's an index of all these films, but if this film has additional information from posters or notes, we make this, we collect this here, and then if the film as a video exists, we also make, this is also available, and if researchers have worked on a particular film, made annotations, time-based annotations for particular scenes, and this goes also into this film. So this is a growing and endlessly growing collection of all of Indian cinema. Once we started this in India, also other people got interested to do this in other places. There's a Turkish site that does this for Turkish cinema. There might be one for Korea at some point. Yeah, so it's again, in this case, what was interesting that a lot of the film studies people, they thought they write about the specific films, and once they matched their writing and immediately seeing the film, quite often it doesn't work, or they have to change the way, it changes their way of thinking about film as well. And some of the people working on this project are really excited because it allows them to describe film and talk about film in a very different way, because it's no longer this very distant reading where you kind of talk about the film you saw once and then you have a memory of it and you think there's this one scene that was, or transition that was very exciting, but once you go through it again in this time-based, like where you can just go to this one scene or look at this one frame and then write about it, it changes the way you reflect on the film.
In India, in film studies, the film was never present. The film was more of a rumor. It changed a lot as you can point at something and say that, hey, that's actually what's on the screen.
And maybe one aspect that is also interesting about this archive is that in India the copyright situation is relatively straightforward as opposed to other places in the world where 60 years after publication of the film is in the public domain. So all films that are, so all the older films we can make available on this site also in higher resolution. So all the old films that have film videos will be on the site, and this is a growth. This grows every year by the next year. And yeah. But besides this kind of, so we have these ideas of this kind of more film history and